two-man job putting the hood on, so you're going to have to get some help. I'd like to introduce Jeff over here. He's actually the cameraman, and he does a very good job of it. And he's actually helping me hold the hood. So what we're going to do is get your hood started on there and get your front screws started first while the other person is holding the hood. And you get those on, and then Jeff is going to swing around to the middle of the hood. And what I got here, because it's kind of hard to see the holes, I got me a poker tool. So I'm going to find the hole like that. I'm going to get my screw and lightly move it around where it needs to go. Until you feel the threads catching. Now before you tighten those up, you notice Jeff's holding that hood nice and steady, doing a good job for me. You want to find the threads, you'll be able to feel the threads. Move the hood just slightly up and down and move your screw at the same time until you feel the threads catch. I stress very strongly, do not strip these threads out or cross thread them. These are very fine threads. You'll have to go buy a tap and re-tap them. And you really can't drill these out to any bigger hole if you mess the threads up, because then what's going to happen is the screw's not going to work right and it's going to interfere and bind with the procedure that we're doing here. So you get your screws, make sure they're snug down. This is just a test fit. We'll have to take this off later, but you still want to put it on just like as if it was the final job. And if Jeff's still holding the hood for me, I'm going to go ahead and make sure these are tight. One more time. Because you want everything tight. Don't over tight the screws. There's no need to. Then Jeff's going to hand me the hood and get that tape out of the way while he's at it. And I'm going to close the hood lightly. And it should line up where we want it. Okay. We got our hood hinged on the hinge side. As you see. Everything's working great. Okay? I told you earlier about the spacer washers. To put them in there so you got a good gap and your hood will open without binding, with the edges binding. Now I've noticed that the gap is a little bit large here. Okay? So I'll have to go back later on the final installation or whenever I take the hood off, and I will take one of those washers out and that'll drop it down to where the gap will be perfect. Okay, we mounted our hood. And our hinge side works very good, as you see. Now, we got to come and get our latch assembly all on there. So, the first thing I'm going to do, and I use a hood prop, you can use an old broomstick, whatever you want. This is an adjustable hood prop. I'm going to go ahead and adjust that. I'm going to go ahead and prop the hood up. And as you see, it's starting to look like a car now. Okay? This one, which is blank, this piece of angle iron, goes on the latch side. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did to that side. And I'm going to kind of eyeball it out here because we want everything looking, you know, perpendicular. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this one off the same way because we don't want it to interfere with our cowling. I'm going to keep our piece of steel because we're going to need that, and I'm going to show you why. The next step is we got to put our piece of blank angle iron inside the hood right here. And that is going to be the support for this side of the hood, plus we're going to mount our latches so the hood will latch down. Now, to get that in the proper place, one more thing. I've already cut the end of this off so it'll match that side and it won't interfere with the cowling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure that over, and it looks like I went 1.5 inches. So I'm going to mark in from this mark, and I'm going to go in 1.5 inches or somewhere in that area. It doesn't have to be perfect. This side here really isn't precise to get in there. I'm going to stick my bar up in there I'm going to stick it up flush. I'm going to get it approximately 1.5 inches. And then I'm going to clamp it down, just like I did the other side. All the work that we do on this side is going to be done with the hood on the car. Because we want to basically do this with the hood on the car. We don't want to have to take the hood off. So I clamp that down good. I go ahead and line that one up. Get my clamp. Clamp this one down the same way. And then we need to screw this piece on there. Now, before I do that, I don't want to accidentally put a screw where the latch is going to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut the hood. And all I'm doing here is kind of basically just making a mark for just a guide mark to where the latches are going to be if you look right there. I'm going to open it back up. And I'm going to get that hood pretty high up in the air now. Because what we're going to do is we're going to drill all our holes with the hood in the air. So I know that my latch hole goes right here, or in that area. That's not real precise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put 3 screws the same way that I did that one. I'm going to stick one right in the middle here. And when you do this, you kind of want to make everything look, like it's all lined up and, in decent shape. So at least try to line the middle screw up, because that's going to look more professional. And I'm going to put one right here, because our latch is going to be right there. So I'm going to put one on the end. And on this one, I'm going to put it all the way back here. I'm going to be drilling these holes at an upward position. It might be a good idea to have at least a brand new or close to new drill bit, so you don't have to sit there for a long period of time doing this. So let me go ahead and drill them holes out, and I'm going to tap them, and I'm also going to flush mount them and see where we're at from there. And you want to get it basically in the middle. Feel with your hand. And get basically in the middle there. Okay, we got our holes drilled out to be tapped. Now before I tap them out, I'm going to go ahead and take our trusty little beveling tool. I'm going to go ahead and bevel that out. Okay. Now we're going to follow the same procedure that we did before. We're going to take our tap. I've already lubed it up with some WD-40. And I'm going to go ahead and tap all 3 of these holes out. Just like so. Okay. Got all my holes drilled out. Got them countersink. I might have to go back and countersink those again, just to get them proper. Actually, on the hood, I'm just going to let you know, if you look real close, I don't like to countersink the hood ones all the way down flush, because when you paint this, you're not going to notice them anyway. The reason for that is, that will actually be a stopper distance here for us, where we'll have a nice gap instead of laying down.